Good morning, Rock Solid. Please watch the sketch Kingdom of Heaven parable on the net. Jesus told his followers many parables about the kingdom of God. Do you know what a kingdom is? A kingdom is a place where everyone does what the king says, supposedly. If you live in the kingdom of God, however, then that means you do what God says because God is the king. The kingdom of God is not a place, it's a way of thinking and acting. Jesus taught people about the real king of the universe who loves everyone. He wants everyone, no matter where they live, to follow him and live in his kingdom. If you live in New Zealand and do what God says, then you live in the kingdom of God. If you live in Australia and do what God says, then you live in the kingdom of God. If you live in Japan and do what God says, then you live in the kingdom of God. Sometimes kingdoms can be rich and beautiful. The king might own all kinds of treasures and have lots of money. Jesus told his followers that the kingdom of God is richer and more valuable than any treasure in the whole world. Jesus thought that this might be difficult for the people to understand, so he decided to tell them a parable. A parable is a simple story to help people understand a very important thing. Here's the first parable. Once a man was working in a field. As he was digging in the dirt, he uncovered a treasure that someone had left there. The man was so excited that he buried the treasure back up and went back home to get some money to buy the field. He did not have enough money, so he sold everything he owned. He was happy to do this. Now he had enough money, so he went and bought the field. Then the treasure was his. What do you think Jesus' parable meant? Well, the kingdom of God is like the treasure. When we find the kingdom of God, we are so happy that we will give up everything so that we can obey God. We are happy to do this because God is the king of the kingdom. If we used to swear, then we will give that up so we can obey God the king. If we used to steal things, then we will give that up so that we can obey God the king. If our best friend tries to stop us from obeying God, then we will even give up our best friend to obey the king and be in the kingdom of God. Nothing is more valuable than the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God is a treasure. Jesus told another parable to help the people understand the kingdom of God. Once there was a pearl merchant who looked for valuable pearls. When he found good pearls, he would buy the pearls at a low price and then sell them at a higher price to make money. The pearl merchant was always looking for the finest pearls. One day, the pearl merchant found one pearl that was very valuable. It was the most beautiful pearl he had ever seen. He knew that he had to have that pearl. The merchant sold everything he had so he could have enough money to buy the pearl. What do you think the pearl is like? Well, the precious pearl is like the kingdom of God. The pearl merchant gave up everything he had to own the precious pearl. The kingdom of God is so valuable that we will want to give up everything to be in it. What would you give up to be in the kingdom of God? Jesus then told a parable about a mustard seed. And he did this by asking, how can I describe the kingdom of God? What story should I use to illustrate it? It's like a mustard seed. Now, I haven't got any mustard seeds, but I have got a tin of mustard. It's like a mustard seed planted in the ground. It's the smallest of seeds, but it becomes the largest of all the plants in the garden. It grows long branches and birds can make nests in its shade. Jesus was teaching his followers that the kingdom of God had a small beginning. Look how many disciples Jesus started with. 12. A very small group. But as they followed Jesus and told others about him, the kingdom grew and grew until it covered the whole earth. You might think that you are too small to be an important part of the kingdom of God, but when we tell others about Jesus, we help the kingdom to grow, to spread over the whole earth. So when you start to think that you are too small to be important in the kingdom of God, remember the parable of the mustard seed. Finally, the parable about the net. This shows what the kingdom of heaven is like too. In the parable, the dragnet is cast into the sea and pulled onto shore full of all kinds of fish. Then the fishermen sort the fish into good and the bad. Jesus explains this by saying, just as the net was cast into the sea, drawing many fish, the gospel message is spread into the world, drawing many people into it. However, some accept the message of Christ and others don't. When we truly realise the worth of our salvation, we will joyfully give up everything to serve God. Anything that we give up will be nothing in comparison to the treasure of God. Thank you for listening, Rock Solid. Do listen to Hear the Call of the Kingdom on the net. Have a good week. See you soon. Bye.